Approximately 25 years ago, a conductor was sticking his head out the cab, checking the doors, and he's punched in the face by a teenager wearing four-fingered ring. Fortunately for the conductor, he was wearing his safety glasses, so that provided some protection for his eyes, but he still sustained some stitches to the bridge of his nose. The conductor's name was David Miller, and that was my father. An attack happens to one of us, it impacts all of us.
Any attack on an employee of a transit worker, a bus driver, subway operator, toll booth deserves the full extent that we can bear on them. Anybody who's a perpetrator on that, we ought to be going after them, and we ought to make it a highest priority.
When you have a problem, a serious problem, that involves threats to a crucial workforce and threats to public safety, you need to get people talking and thinking about how to fix it. That is what this conference is about today. You will hear the grim statistics of the raw numbers of assaulted New York City transit workers, more than 4 a week in 2010, more than 5 a week in 2011, and in the first 3 months of this year, 67.
We had a few operators in Staten Island that were beat up. One guy was attacked with a brick, and he suffered a concussion. He never returned to work.
On April 21st, a conductor aboard a northbound number 1 train was assaulted while the train was stopped at 207th Street Station. The assailant punched our member in the face, breaking his nose. The conductor was actually knocked cold for a brief period of time, but was able to get himself together before the train made the next stop.
We had a cleaner the other day, sitting on the train going to her next location. Customer came by, didn't like the perfume that she was wearing, and slapped her.
Last week, a female bus operator on the M15 was punched in the face as her bus approached 102nd Street.
It's not always just the physical piece. The high one is verbal abuse. The next highest is spitting on the driver. And the only agency that's really taken that initiative on is Transport for London. What they've done is they put DNA kits on. They put big signs on there. If you spit on a driver, you will be punished, and severely.
We called upon all the district attorneys, all 5 of them, to aggressively prosecute anyone at all who assaults any one of our employees.
As long as it goes unpunished, the cause will go unresolved. No matter how much focus we put on there, it's the punishment phase and the awareness that's really going to make a difference.
You assault a police officer, a firefighter, a nurse, a bus driver, a teacher, while they're performing their duties, you go to jail. We have young kids who end up with felony convictions because they just won't be bothered. You don't get paid enough to get assaulted while you're working.
In September of 2007, together with the MTA and the TW Locals 100, I established the first Assault on Workers, Transit Workers program. Since the inception of this program, 23 cases have been presented to a Kings County grand jury. 19 have been charged as felonies by the grand jury.
In Philadelphia, when a person does go to court, the only person that's standing next to that operator is a union. The managers are not even there. If I'm working for you and I risk my life by doing my job, how do you not come there to court and stand with me?
We need to look at what's the underlying factor to why our operators are getting assaulted in the first place.
I think it's a reasonable conclusion to say that there's a relationship between fare evasion and bus operator assaults.
The people who are being attacked is essentially the face of the authority. People are upset because the economy is bad, because service has been cut, and there's no one to address that but the person with the uniform.
Bus drivers are one of the few public servants in our city who work alone. Police officers work in pairs most of the time, firefighters, sanitation workers. You guys are by yourself on that bus. There's nobody to call for help for you but you.
There's an added impact on our public transit system of lost workdays, revenue decreases, and the impact on the public's decision whether to use mass transportation. Many are afraid when there are open assaults against transit workers that crime rates may be going up.
You work for MTA, I work for SEPTA for one reason, to take care of our families.